right, got it.
All right, I'll share my screen.
Oh, that's the end.
Whoops.
Yeah, thank you and goodbye.
All done, everybody.
You missed it. Blink and you're gone. It's going to be quick, but not that quick. Okay. So I want to welcome everyone here today. Welcome all the snow moles, City of Ottawa staff, pedestrian safety and walkability members, new snow moles, interested community members to the presentation today, Snow Moles Winter Walkability in Ottawa. My name is Mary Holler and I'm the co-chair of the Pedestrian Safety and Walkability Committee along with Min Koo. I'll be doing the presentation today on behalf of the Council on Aging. The Council on Aging is very proud of the progress and history of the snow moles. This grassroots program has made some changes for the better for Ottawa's winter walkability. Winter can be a beautiful time for many, but the walkability concerns do limit a lot of people's basic abilities to get around the city. We still have many strides to make to meet the recommendations in our report, and this can only be achieved with the help of many individuals. So we thank all the people who've done audits in the past, and we hope that through presentations like today, we can recruit a few new members. One of my favorite quotes is from the movie Dinotopia, "One raindrop raises the sea." And I feel that this supports how important each individual can be to the Snow Moles project. We can make changes and we are here to help support and promote that change. Today, I'm here to review some of our past, where we are now, and how you can be involved to be a part of this change this winter. So to start off, I just want to do an Ottawa land acknowledgement. The Council on Aging of Ottawa pays respect to the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, who are the traditional guardians of the land. We acknowledge their relationship to the unceded and unsurrendered territory where we are located. We pay respect to all Indigenous people from Inuit, First Nations, and Métis communities who call Ottawa home. We especially honor older Indigenous people and elders who share their traditional knowledge and culture for the benefit of all. So as we begin, in order to keep on time, we will accept questions at the end of the presentation. We'll begin by stating who we are and the rationale history for having a snow mole program. We will discuss what the Pedestrian Safety and Walkability Committee does and the past snow mole findings. We also want to explain what you can do as an individual to improve winter walking in your neighborhood and in our city by becoming a snow mole. And lastly, the accomplishments and successes will be highlighted by Bryden Dennis, the Area Manager of Road Services for the City of Ottawa. The guy with the beard. So, the Pedestrian Safety and Walkability Committee is part of the Transportation Committee under the umbrella of the Council on Aging. Our purpose is to raise awareness from the individual level to groups to the city and the committee level, and promote improvements in walkability, pedestrian safety, and accessibility for all pedestrians and all abilities, especially for older adults, as we are the Council on Aging, and other vulnerable groups for all seasons and using all modes of pedestrian mobility. So including people with scooters, walkers, canes, and also for parents with children in strollers. So what do? So the Pedestrian Safety and Walkability Committee, one thing we do is develop checklists and questionnaires for data collection. So lists of questions regarding walking conditions, stairs, accessibility, as well as develop educational materials regarding winter walking. We do the snow moles complete audits, and we collect those audits, collate them, analyze them, and report our findings to the Council on Aging Board, city staff and councillors, and communicate to all of them these reports. The snow mole groups, many snow mole groups have completed many walking audits in their neighborhoods, both informal and formal, with city councilors at times to highlight the concerns and issues, as well as to highlight where things are going well. So with all these reports, we make recommendations to the city and the community. And then we have been following the status of the winter maintenance quality standards, advocating for changes. And we have city representation also on our committee. So trying to establish, we've had great relationships and establishing new relationships with our city members. So there's always ongoing awareness. So the Snowmole campaign was first launched in 2018. It was named to identify with winter moles who burrow under the snow for safety, as well as mole agents who work undercover to collect important evidence. So now we don't expect you to necessarily burrow under the snow, but we hope that we can get more mole undercover agents to collect information. And who are these people? We are just regular people who go out and about in the city and walk. The walk can be any length, any time of winter, alone or with friends, for recreation or work, or just for an audit purpose. So we ask our volunteers to do, whenever they do some of these walks, to complete a short questionnaire about the winter walkability and pedestrian safety issues, including any photos that they've taken, and upload them to our link. So as we all know, we're getting into winter now. Ottawa is a winter city, but nothing we do is going to change that. So we have to try to change how we can make it a better walkable winter city. So as we know, winter brings safety and accessibility issues related to snow, ice, and infrastructure challenges. Pedestrians face safety and accessibility issues due to snow, ice, slush, and deep puddles. The increasing fluctuations in the weather with multiple freeze-thaw cycles just creates more problems with ice on sidewalks and roads. Improper drainage can create puddles and ice. So improper drainage can create problems in the summer, but we don't really see the same kind of problems with accessibility as much in the winter as it is in the winter when everything freezes. High snow banks that aren't cleared can melt onto sidewalks. And so again, with the freeze thaw, you just get constant ice puddles forming. There's also some gaps in public education regarding where to shovel and where to pile your snow. So sometimes people are creating their own hazards by piling snow in places they're not supposed to. The snow and ice create barriers for people reaching buildings, crosswalks, sidewalks, pathways, and also creates problems with a complete path to get from A to B. Maybe they can get part way, but not the full way. As we know, there's more older people living in Ottawa, and more older people have some kind of a disability. Many more people are using assistive devices, and these, along with a winter city without clear sidewalks, creates a lot of problems with accessibility. And then as well, one of the biggest things we're trying to avoid in improving accessibility is we're trying to avoid falls. Falls are the leading cause of hospitalization and injury-related deaths among people 65 and older. So all these things create some type of, perfect storm, as you might say. So why do we have snow moles? Why we do it? So again, we're a winter city, and Ottawa has winter maintenance quality standards, but they were last updated in 2003. There's been a lot of changes in climate, and the freeze-thaw cycles, as I mentioned before, are even more so. So it's creating a lot more changes, and we need to have the standards kind of meet these changes and improve the accessibility as there's more and more seniors and more people with disabilities living in the city. Since 2016, our group has been trying to advocate for, we've been collecting audits and lobbying for review and update of these standards. So we want to be an advocate for the standards to improve so that more places have more improvements in their walkability. And again, when you when you clear things if you're clearing things to be accessible, it's going to be accessible for everyone if someone with a disability is able to manage to. Okay, so this is a fun little comment. I don't know what's happening with it. So winter is all about your point of view. So it's all about your perspective. So what is your perspective? Do winter walking conditions give you anxiety? Are you worried about falling? Are you just worried about getting your vehicle started? And then you're going to worry about accessibility and getting from A to B to your work or to your appointments or to visit your friends? Or do you wonder, if you're of a younger age bracket, do you wonder if you'll have school? Maybe hoping that you won't. So when we think about winter's perspective, we want to be respectful, and we want everyone to be respectful of those more vulnerable people who may have more challenges on snowy days. We want to watch out for these walking conditions and do audits, not even necessarily for that you have any trouble yourself, but thinking about, would this be accessible for everyone else, your neighbors, the people with strollers, the older people in your neighborhood. Also, we want to make sure that people remember to report good conditions as well as those that aren't so good. So from all these audits that we've done, we put all the audits together and we make some reports, and we have different findings. So from all these findings, there are different themes that come out. So ice and snow on sidewalks forces pedestrians to walk on roads many times. And then the people who don't have sidewalks are already walking on the roads. And we know about the shrinking road phenomena in the winter, hard enough for cars, and then you add a few pedestrians in there, it makes it a dangerous situation. Crosswalks, crosswalk buttons, bus stops, and mailboxes become accessible. Impassable intersections with the snow piles and the snowbanks. And then ice, and more ice. Ice is a common theme in winter. Ice is kind of what we fear, especially the hidden ice underneath snow. So sometimes it requires, the people that are doing the audits will report that they're using ice grips on their boots, walking poles, or other aids. Some people don't have these aids, so they're more the ones that are not out walking doing audits for us. They're the ones that are reporting the higher fear of falling. And then again, there's the conditions that leave people with the fear of falling, increasing their isolation, and so days where they're not able to get out. So from the findings, or from the audits, we also have a lot of comments and photos that people will send in. Walking on the road to reach the bus stops can be dangerous at the best of times, but in winter with a walker at a slowed walking pace, this can lead to a series of unfortunate events and potentially a fall or incident with a vehicle. We don't have any real numbers on falls on city streets, as many go unreported. Hospital data isn't available, and even their fall collection does not give exact details of where the fall was, whether outdoors or indoors, and the conditions outside, and how the fall occurred. The second comment here, sidewalks finished in pavement, not concrete, or really uneven, and had large pools of water, causing pedestrians to have to walk on icy snowbanks that surround it. And I'm sure everyone's experienced this at some point, when the sidewalks don't have great drainage in the summer, and then it's just ice in the winter. So here's a snapshot from our 2023 snow moles report. So from this, I find it alarming to see that 80% of respondents walked on the street at times during the winter, and largely due to sidewalks not yet being cleared. So I think it's kind of obvious to see the hazards that this creates for their safety and also their visibility, which leads to safety concerns. Greater than 60% of people have fear of falling while walking in winter. It'd be nice to be able to lower that number a little bit. We'd love to see crosswalks cleared more than 40% of the time, and snowbanks lower and cleared away more frequently. Also, there's reports of ramps being unsafe, and we know that many city stairs are closed in the winter because the city is unable to clear them all. But if ramps are unsafe, how does anyone manage to get around? There is a new city initiative, I'm not sure if everyone's aware, it was in the papers recently, to shovel the steps to the Corktown and Flora bridges this winter. after a lot of public pressure. So we're inviting all snow moles and anyone to do audits, to walk and audit these areas. Min, the other co-chair, is planning to do a group walking audit this winter there, so stay tuned. But we do welcome anyone doing any audits to try to go, if you're in the neighborhood, to go over these bridges and just see how things are going. It's a good initiative. So hopefully it'll be a good initiative and it'll lead to more stairs being cleared to parks throughout the city. So moving on to our recommendations. So from all the audits and the reports, we've come up with some key recommendations. So we want to have pedestrians first where pedestrians move. So like on sidewalks, walkways, at intersections where pedestrians cross. We want to have improved winter maintenance quality standards. So reviewing and improving those to improve, so there's more streets being cleared to a higher degree, more sidewalks being cleared to a higher degree. We want the sidewalk clearing to align with the changing weather patterns, the freeze-thaw snow, and pedestrians' needs. And then we want to improve the snow clearing priorities on sidewalks and pathways, plowing to bare pavement in more areas, especially those with higher residential density around schools, community centers, retirement homes, where there's more older adults and there's connections to transit. So people can do a complete trip from a neighborhood to, say, their store or to the bus stop. A lot of times we hear people say they have to cross the street back and forth to find the clear paths. So continuing on with the recommendations, we did start a new initiative last year asking volunteers to clear snow from benches in areas where there's high pedestrian traffic. So we're still working on that, is to have improvement in the ice and snow from the benches. So when people are going out for a walk, they have a place to rest along their way, especially older adults or someone with a disability who doesn't have the endurance to do the whole way standing. We want to really encourage plowing for complete pedestrian trips so people can get completely from their start to the finish, and removal of high snowbanks on residential streets to improve visibility for people walking or people in wheelchairs, as well as to reduce the amount of puddles created from the snow thaw cycles. We want to keep collecting and reporting on the incidence and location of winter falls and injuries, and try to figure out how we can get more accurate information of what's happening. Because I know our snowmall audits are only a drop in the bucket of what's reported in the city. We want to have more awareness and safety training for sidewalk plow operators, and I guess maybe adding the dumping of grit or salt on the sidewalks maybe can be added to some of that training if it's not already there. And our recommendation is to improve the sidewalk infrastructure to encourage safe, age-friendly walking. So if the infrastructure has issues when there's no snow, the issues are just going to be magnified when there's snow, because the cracks become filled with water or melt and there's ice. If they're buckled, then you're going to have more ice, more slippage if it's not flat. So this is a couple of questions from our snow mole questionnaire. So a snow mole audit takes maybe 5 minutes to complete, depending on how many comments you have to add. We ask someone to do a walk, and then either as a group or individually to fill out the questionnaire. We ask questions like, were the surfaces safe to walk on? Did you have to walk on the street? And then if you do, then there's some other questions asking why. We ask about crosswalk accessibility, and we ask about the height of the snowbanks. Did it make your walk more difficult? Was there seating along the way to rest on your route? Was the bench seating clear of snow? Did you fall? We always hate to see any yeses to this, but did you fall during your snow mall walk audit today? And then we ask about fear of falling in winter. Does it keep you from getting out for a walk? Along with these audits and the questionnaires, we ask people to send in photos because we know photos are great and a picture truly does help to explain the winter challenges. So what can you do? Become a snow mole. When you go out for an errand or a walk, afterwards use the snow mole questionnaire to note features and conditions that are safe, bench clear to snow, as well as unsafe, snow piled up in an intersection. Take and submit photos of both safe and unsafe features and conditions using the questionnaire, as you can see on the right. We really want to emphasize not just rushing to do an audit when you see things that are terrible, because we really want to know where we're doing well. And we know that there's lots of places that are doing well. We're not sure if these are geographically located or time located, but it's all important feedback to give back to the city. And the more details that you can give on the intersections that are problematic, or when the photos are uploaded, the actual closest address, so that we can see where the problem is and not just a larger neighborhood. Like rather than saying the glebe, say, you know, Bank at First or something, so you can kind of see where the problem is. So anyone can be a snow mole. And we're also looking for some snow mole champions. So if you're already being a snow mole and you want to do a little bit more, or if you're ready to jump in and be a champion, these are just people who are taking a bit more of a leadership role for the snow moles in their neighborhood. So they talk with their neighbors and friends, encouraging awareness and audits, talk with people that you're meeting who are out for a walk, encourage them to do a snow mole audit and a questionnaire, educate them about what it is. Last year, we created a small business card, just the size of just a little card the size of a business card, with the snow mole information on it with the QR link. And we encourage people to print some of them up at home. And when they're out walking, if they meet other walkers, people they know, people they don't know, people who mention the great conditions, the poor conditions, to pass on these little cards to encourage people to then have the link in their hand, literally, to do an audit for us. So a snow mole champion also can be involved with their local community groups to talk up the whole snow mole program, talk about what could be improved in winter walkability in the neighborhood. They also, if they want to lead snow mole audits in their neighborhood, it doesn't mean it has to be very formal. They could just be meeting with a neighbor or a friend, or they could be doing like a walking pole group with a formal group, and then have the group do an audit. It's very up to the person who's the champion. And then if they have some way to mentally track the changes and needs in their neighborhood, that's important as well, because we do follow up with the snow moles over the course of the winter, and any of that feedback is important, will help us with our feedback to the city and help us with our reports. All right, so getting on to accomplishments, some of the things that we've accomplished, we are going to ask Bride and Dennis to speak to these in the next 2 slides.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate it. First off, I just want to say thank you everyone for attending today, and Mary and Min, thank you for having me today. I've had the privilege to work with this committee for many years now, for snow moles and everything as well. So it's been truly a privilege to see how this has evolved over time to get to where we are here now. And I can say over time, it has provided a lot of valuable feedback to the city that is real life scenarios versus just we get a lot of service requests, but having these audits is so important. I can't stress that enough. And it does go right up to our senior management team that do make decisions above our normal processes. So it's very valuable. So some of the stuff we've really focused on and we've heard loud and clear, and Mary mentioned this, crosswalks. We definitely understand that when we plow the roadways, we can create barriers at crosswalks, corners, the PXO crossings. So that's definitely something we work with our staff and our sidewalk beats to ensure we're trying to get through those as efficiently as possible. And that kind of leads into the second point is the variability and order of our snow clearing. So when we receive feedback, we do look at how we set up our beats. We do have our standards, so we prioritize our higher classifications, like a bank street versus a residential sidewalk. But I will say over the last 5 years, we've really put a priority on all sidewalks. So we definitely recognize with the mobility of all of our residents, whether you're able-bodied or not, it is a challenge. So we do look at increasing our availability during the daytime and especially the nighttime of our staffing complement as well as our equipment complement to be able to treat both daytime and nighttime. And we definitely look at taking a more aggressive approach to making sure we are maintaining a safer walking surface. I think one big change you'll see is it ties in the variability, but instead of trying to maintain snowpack conditions in a lot of area, we are trying to increase that to a bare surface standard. Depending on the storm event, it may take a bit longer, but we are committed to doing that. When we look at our training of our staff, we actually have just rolled out another educational awareness video for our new operators as well as our existing sidewalk operators and our contracted operators to talk about how when they perform their duties, how they can support, but how they can also be aware of barriers that they are creating. So that's being rolled out in all of our training schools as well as to existing staff. So that's a really big change that this committee and the Snow Mole has really been a champion of. We talked about changes in our routes. It's really looking at prioritizing potentially where we start, where we finish, and how we can increase that, sometimes the variability of those operations. And I will say, working with the committee as well as many community associations and the members of the public, a lot of it is we're really focused on improving our communication and our education of our residents as well as our committees and our community associations, which play a key role in sharing that information. We talked about the training. This has always been a really large win for, I think, that I've been pushing for. It's a simple one. Awareness for our operators is key in all aspects of their duties. And this will lead to our operators and our contractors improving how they perform our tasks, which will lead to a more safer active transportation surface for all users. And then the last item on here, the Snow Mole reports and recommendations that come in do feed directly into our teams that are reviewing our maintenance quality standards, which has led to us keeping a higher level of service, even though we have our set standards that they still haven't changed, but we have different operational practices that allow us to operate at higher levels, particularly in residential sidewalks and residential streets. And we're tying that into now bus stops, trying to make sure we can clear bus stops and the windrows at bus stops as fast as we can, as well as Mary mentioned, we have a pilot project for the Corkstown and Flora footbridge stairs. Even though there's an accessible ramp right beside it, we are going to run a pilot project to see how we can maintain those stairs. So again, key feedback from real-time users is very important. But again, I just want to say thank you, and I cannot state enough how important the Snow Moles are in providing that feedback to the city. So a big thank you to everyone that has participated, still is, and any new members. It is very important. So thank you. Back to you, Mary.
Brian, I'm wondering, what about if you're able to say anything about the winter quality maintenance standards? I mean, I think I know where we are now, but just for the people who are here.
Yeah, I can definitely say that. So over the last multiple years, we've been reviewing our practices, how we deploy our resources, including feedback from Snow Moles and many other aspects, counselors and other members of the public. So we've gathered all that data. Our report actually went to Transportation Committee last week. And at this time, we are continuing to hold our current standards. But again, we have changed our operational practice. So if you look at 5 years ago to where we are now, it is a big change in how we do our maintenance. 1 second. Sorry about that. Getting a little rowdy in the background over here. But yeah, I just want to reiterate my commitment to we are doing our absolute best to improve our standards within what we have, and a lot of that goes to some of the changes we've already been able to implement. And I know I've received feedback that we are seeing some positive changes in our communities for winter walkability and cycling. I know we can't be everywhere at the same time, but again, it is a commitment that we will maintain to be available more daytime, nighttime. We will be looking at transitioning as much as we can from a snowpack surface condition that really causes challenges to users of residential sidewalks to more of a bare surface standard. And then we are also looking at, I said, our windrows that we create at bus stops, corners, and even looking at trying to time our snow removal operations to really target those usage of those pieces of equipment at the correct time. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I know the standards may have not officially been changed on paper through council, but we are operationally continuously changing to improve how we use our resources. So did that help, Mary?
Yes, thank you very much, Bryden, for that.
My pleasure.
And I think I saw a few questions go up, but I think we'll just go to the next slide and then we'll get questions at the end for the whole presentation. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time out today to come and hear about snow moles, what we've done in the past, what changes we've made, and what we're hoping to do, where we're trying to go in the future. We still need you. We still need snow moles. So we're trying to always recruit snow moles and snow mole champions. So if you want to complete an audit, you need to go to the Council on Aging Ottawa website. So it's as it's stated there. So to have your voice heard. If you want to just be a snow mole, you can just do that. If you want to be a snow mole champion, you can go to the snow mole website for the email, or email snowmoles at councilonaging.ottawa.ca. So it's snowmoles.coa, ottawa.ca. Or you can put something in the chat today if you don't mind other people seeing it, that you're interested to be a snow mole champion. The last thing we want to talk about, we want to introduce a new little social media campaign that we're going to try this year to highlight some of the worst spots in Ottawa that are the worst spots for winter accessibility. So sidewalks, high snowbanks, bus stops, intersections, or anything else. And we're asking people to either send them in through the snow mole audit, or to post them on your social media with the hashtag mountains and molehills. So we're hoping it to be a fun thing to just raise awareness, and also to have more and more people hear about snow moles, so we can get more and more audits from all areas of the city a little bit more consistently. And there will be a prize. Right now it's a surprise prize, so you won't know until you participate on the surprise prize. And we have to talk to Brian about that later. So now I think is the time to open up for questions. We have some time for questions. Brian, can you stay for a few minutes? Maybe you can do questions for you first.
Yeah, I'm all good, Mary. Thank you.
Since you're on paid time and I'm not. I'm going to have Molly maybe. I can't see everybody who's got their hand up. So maybe Molly, can you just let those people
Mary?
ask their questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Thanks, Molly. About the clearing of the bridges. Well, I guess that's specifically and the stairs and everything, but also just more generally with the changing climate, and things are, are there set stop and start dates for clearing things? Because a couple of weeks ago, I think it was November 21st, I actually made note of the date, Tuesday, November 21st, there was freezing rain, and I took the steps up to Flora and across the Flora Bridge. The steps were fine, but the surface on Flora was quite slippery. So it occurred to me, occasionally we're going to have something out of the usual timeline, and and how does the city, how does that work?
No, that's a very good question, Mary. So if I say officially, our winter season for our staffing starts in the middle of November, but we do put staff on night shift about 2 to 3 weeks earlier than that. So there's really no timeline. If we get a weather event, we're going to be able to respond whether we're still in our summer mode or our winter mode. I know exactly what you're talking about because I heard about that one. So that one was a delay till we got there. So that was the challenge there. So it was because the people doing the stairs are hand crews versus equipment. So it took longer than I really like to see the equipment get to the bridges, because in those conditions, all bridges, whether they're pedestrian bridges or road bridges, react the same way. So we were a little too slow getting there. So just to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And while I see Mary there, I'm just going to interject and see if she's got any of her songwriting skills to maybe think up something for Mountains and Molehills.
Oh, good idea.
No, so,
no pressure.
No pressure, eh?
Okay, that's a good idea. I will think about Mountains and Molehills. Thank you.
Okay, so on to the next question.
So we have a question in the chat from Anna. How patient do we have to be after a snowfall? How long should we count on staying inside if we live on an urban side street?
So great question, Anna. So when we look at our standards our current standards that we have, so if we're looking at a urban, say, residential street, the timeline that we have in our standards to clear that surface would be 12 hours from the end of the snow accumulation, or say if it was freezing rain. So it'd be 12 hours from the end of the storm event. But that doesn't mean we're not going to be working as much as we can during the event, plowing snow. But it's the clock starts ticking when that storm stops. So hopefully that, and again, it's based on the classification of the roads and sidewalks. But for urban sidewalks, you're in the 12-hour after the storm stops.
Oh, that sounds too good to be true.
It's hard. But it depends on the storm type too, right? Like, and if we say we get 30 centimeters of snow, it's going to take us a bit longer. But in that case, we'll probably declare a significant weather event. That's a new tool we have that we started utilizing last year from the provincial government, which just means when we declare that, it's going to take us longer to get through there. But in a normal snow event, we should be in that 12-hour range after the storm. But we may plow it twice during the storm, but it's when we get that final clean.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Brian, there's another question here, or just a comment about the roads, the crosswalks being horrible after they've plowed, but then they're also really slippery where the green lines are painted on the crosswalks. So besides clearing, there needs to be more salt. So have you heard comments about the green paint being extra slippery?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things in this comment I'd like to touch base on here. So definitely the pavement markings, whether they're the white, yellow, or the green thermoplastic, when they are wet, they do get slippery. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do. We do salt the crosswalks. It would be salted with the sidewalk unit and the roadway unit, but it's really more of an awareness that those areas will be slippery. Even in the middle of the summer when it rains, they're very slippery. So that's something I can probably take back to our traffic staff that do the application of those to see. I know in some scenarios there may be some abrasive that they may be able to add to give it a bit of more traction, but that is definitely a challenge in the winter. The other part of that one there, the coordination of plowing, snow, and then de-icing needs to be closer together. So this is 100% dependent on the storm. So if we're in an active storm event, say a snowstorm, when we're plowing, if it's continually snowing and we know we're going to get more snow, we're not going to apply salt at the same time because it gets wasted, because we're just going to plow it off again. We want to make sure we're using that salt at the right time, the right amount, and at the right place. So in that scenario, you may see us salt at, say, just corners or say a bus stop, but we're going to plow through the storm. And as soon as we see that storm starting to end, the same units that are plowing are going to plow and salt at the same time. So it's the same piece of equipment can do both operations. But we want to make sure we're taking into consideration utilizing the right material at the right time. And in a heavy snowstorm, salting during the storm event it is wasting resources. And we also have to look at our environmental side. We want to make sure we're using that right material at the right time. So hopefully that answers that.
Well, thank you very much, Bryden. Don't know if there's any more questions for anyone who wants to ask it live rather than in the chat.
We have Janet.
Hi, Bryden. How are you? I have a question. You mentioned earlier about the prioritization in terms of residential streets. I'm wondering if the city has been looking at how things have transitioned in the Ottawa area over the years due to COVID. We've got a lot more people working from home, and people have elected to purchase or move to homes that are outside of the core metropolitan area, but also still fall under the umbrella of the City of Ottawa. So I'm thinking like places like North Gore, Cumberland, Richmond, Goulburn, places like that. They're kind of on the rural side. And now you've got people commuting. They still have to commute into work. They're not working from home full time, but they are commuting, which puts a bit more pressure on those arteries from those outer areas into the city core. So is that being looked at and thought about in terms of adjusting? I know you can't be everywhere at once, but
no, I will say, great question, Janet, and lovely to see you today. It's been a while, but thank you. Yeah, that's definitely a valid question. We are seeing our suburban and rural areas growing more rapidly. So what we are looking at, and we always are, is we track that growth. Okay, so where are people going? What is happening? Oh, a new subdivision pops up in Richmond. You use that example. It's growing like crazy. So we always look at, do we have the right amount of resources to manage the road maintenance as well as any sidewalk maintenance? And then as those are built out, those streets and sidewalks would be classified, and then they would be grouped into the correct maintenance beats based on those classifications. So the one benefit we have on our road maintenance is our road maintenance vehicles can travel a lot faster than a sidewalk maintenance vehicle. So we can get over that network a lot faster. So those beats are going to be much longer. But we do work with our traffic management group as well for traffic counts, what roads are they seeing increase usage on, and then we can look at, are they classified appropriately? So we are delivering that right and appropriate maintenance on those specific locations. So it is something we do for sure.
All right, thanks, Bryden. I don't know, is there any more things that any more questions that we can answer, like specifically right
I noticed, sorry to interrupt, but I noticed on the chat, and also I'm having the same problem. It looks like the website's changed recently. Where is the link to doing snowmobile activity for this year? Unless I'm missing something,
So you need to go
to find it.
And if you go to the website and then you go to engage.
Okay. Engage with us.
Engage with us, transportation, snowmobile.
And then transportation snowmobile. So I think people need some help. If I couldn't find it, and I've been a snowmobile for years, I think we need to help people find it.
Yeah, it'll be top of mind on top of the website. It's coming. I was trying to get it ready for today.
Okay, sorry.
And we're dealing with the new website. So yes,
okay.
the survey
that's a recent
will be live,
change, I guess.
Yes,
for
it
January
is.
1.
Okay, because I tried my old link and nothing came up. So okay, thank you. Sorry.
Mary, there's a couple questions in there I just want to answer on the chat there, if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So there's a couple questions in here about if do people try and sue the city for slipping during the winter, and if so, how many, say last year? So I will say yes, we do receive lawsuits against the city for personal injuries for someone. It could be a motor vehicle accident, it could be somebody slipping and falling, or in the summer a trip and fall. So we do receive, I would say, quite a few of those. I do attend what we call discovery to defend the city against a lot of them. I don't know, I don't have the stats on how many we had last year. The way it works is the legal system can be slow. So I could be, next week I have 2 of them, so I could be doing one from 2018, and then the second one could be from 2022. So I don't have a way outside of our legal department telling me, and I'm not sure if that's information that's available, but it does happen. And I would say the benefit for the other question, if they have sued the city, does the city use this information? How, where, and how to improve things? But I think one of the benefits of myself and the other area managers attending these discoveries is we get to hear exactly what happened. So we take that information away, and if we see any opportunity for improvement, we have the ability to make that improvement. And I will say I do that quite often, and a lot of times it's just a simple little change, how we deployed, timing, or even an area where we're like, oh wow, that never thought something like that would happen there. So we do take a lot of that away to help improve our operations. And then I think there's one more there, Mary. What do you use the city to measure your success and make plans for improvement other than the mole program? Again, I can't. It's the snow mole program is very great feedback. We do receive a lot of service requests from any member of the public, and anybody can submit it. You don't have to do wait for a snow mole walk. If you see something, you can report it by calling 311 or visiting ottawa.ca to submit that. All of those service requests for concerns like that come to our maintenance yards. We investigate, correct it, and again, that's information we use to make sure really we're on the ball, and if there is changes, we can look at it from that information as well. Right. That's all the ones I see, Mary.
Okay. And I see that Bonnie put the last 2 reports in the chat if people were interested to look. And I think there's a link for that on the website. But as Bonnie said, the website, it's challenging to find us, but it'll be fixed shortly, and hopefully before anyone's sees significant snow to actually do an audit. I mean, officially the snow mole program starts January 1st, going to the end of March. So it'll be certainly fixed before then. Anyways, I think are there any more questions?
I was just gonna say, I will drop the link to the snow moles, the page on the website. You'll see there the link to the survey from 2023 season. So that would be last year, January through March. The 2024 survey is not up yet, but if you'd like to go and visit that page, you can get a little bit more information.
Thank you, Molly. And thank you, Molly, for all your help with coordinating this, running the slides for me. I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. I hope that this has motivated a few people to get out and to do a few audits for us. If anyone is interested to do a snow mole audit, then please send us a line through the website that you're or not to be an audit, to be a champion. So of a neighborhood, just you don't have to be that connected with your community center, but just someone who maybe knows your neighborhood well, knows enough people, walks around, talks to people, and you can just kind of talk it up. So we get a little bit more information from a neighborhood through the champion. So anybody who's interested, please send us a line. Otherwise, thank you very much. And I hope that you will hear or listen and look for mountains and molehills coming to a neighborhood near you. So should be a fun contest. It's meant to be all fun. I don't know if I think that's everything. I think I've just looked at the last. Yes. So thank you very much for attending. And I think this is where we'll sign off.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
You as well.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later, Molly.
Bye-bye.